Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Pillow Talk podcast. I'm really excited for this one. Two reasons. One, because the person I've got today has a massive amount to give, but I'm also sharing this one with you because Pat is my coach, my mentor. So I wanted to get him on because I know how much he has helped me, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So you're getting access to my personal coach and mentor who has helped me a massive amount. So Pat, I'm going to pass over to you for an introduction and a bit of background about you. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott, and it's great to be here. And I guess from a background or an introduction point of view, which, for people who are watching or listening here, my background really, I left school at 14 years old. Okay, I come from a very big family. I have, 9 brothers, 6 sisters. We grew up in the council house, and we grew up quite poor, right? Very poor, to be quite honest. And at 14, I got a job, so I left school and I went to work. But the one thing I will say to people, for me at that age, that was the most important thing in my world, was that job, because it brought in an income that I could help my family with and maybe change the lives of other people. But certainly my life, to have money was something we never had. And then by the time I was 15, I became a bouncer or a doorman in nightclubs in the city I come from. And eventually I went on to build a very large business to the point where it brought me in over 25 million, just that business alone. I've had multiple other businesses that brought in multiples of millions, if you like. But how did I do it is kind of the question that people really want to know, and why it's important. Well, because I valued this job and I became very aware of what it was going to do for my life and how it was going to impact my family's life, I made a promise to myself that I was never going to lose this job. And the promise to myself, the only way I could keep it was by making a decision to show up every single day and be the absolute best that I could be. I wanted to make myself irreplaceable. And I just thought, if I keep showing up and I keep giving 100%, then I will keep this job for life. Because that was my only goal at that time. Mm-hmm. However, when I started in the security industry, and then all of a sudden this business started to come to me, the reason it came to me is because I took the same attitude into my security business as I did when I started that job in the first time. I made a decision that I'm going to be the absolute best that I could be. And over that period of time, I employed thousands of people. I got to employ thousands of people, and particularly the people I grew up with, people who were friends of mine, family members. It was great to be able to find work for these people and help them create an income. But to take that attitude into everything I do is I make a decision I'm going to be the absolute best that I can be. And when I started to learn more about business, I started working with people like Brian Tracy and Bob Proctor from The Secret, or Stephen Covey, if anybody has read his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, with Jim Rohn, all of the biggest mentors in the world. I started taking on board their programs because I wanted to learn how I was doing what I was doing. How could I do it better? And I had a natural draw for business and to be able to build relationships with people. So everything I was learning over the years, I started sharing with other people. And eventually I found myself mentoring a lot of people, which I'm doing for over 30 years now. Mm-hmm. And I've helped tens of thousands of people in business set their business goals, overcome challenges, and the same with life goals and so forth. So that's kind of it is a lot to take in, but it's still a very brief about me, actually. So hope that answers your question there, Scott.
Lovely. And we'll expand on some of that. And for you guys watching, we are live Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Please ask your questions. If you're watching this in the live stream, please ask your questions live. I'll bring them onto screen. And Pat mentioned a few big names in the self-development industry. And Pat's last podcast interview was with Brian Tracy. So I have some big boots to fill there to do some podcasting. So Pat and I met a good few years ago, and we were both at an event. I was invited to speak, and I was just doing a normal presentation on service accommodation. I was speaking first, Pat was speaking last, and I didn't know you. And after Pat's presentation, I think half an hour of it was listing off names, if you guys are into self-development, some of the biggest names in the world. We've mentioned a few there, like Brian Tracy and Bob Proctor. And I was just in a room with other people thinking, hey, this is just a property event. But at the end of that day, it blew my mind, because I had never met anybody that had actually met all of these self-development greats before. Now, people would pay money to go and see them and learn from them. But Pat, you've done quite a bit over the years on stage with some of the biggest names. Expanding that, and I don't mind you name dropping, because I was wild with it as well. So who have you worked with on stage, touring the world, doing some self-development stuff?
Well, we could go for a very long list, right? But and I think what's even more important is when we talk about these guys became friends of mine. And you're right, Scott. There was a time when people would have to travel, and especially traveling to America, even to get to meet these guys, and paying, in some cases up to a year's wages for most people to get in front of them. But actually, they came to Dublin. All of these guys, these speakers, became good friends of mine and came to Dublin to speak with me at my seminars in Dublin on my stage. And that shift happened over time, if you like, because we started to build a relationship. So yes, I've had Brian Tracy in Dublin multiple times. I've had Mark Victor Hansen, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, who sold over 600 million copies of his book. Sharon Lecter from Rich Dad Poor Dad. She was the business partner of Robert Kiyosaki. So Sharon would have came to Dublin on a number of occasions. Dr. John D. Martin from The Secret. Bob Proctor from The Secret. Jarek Robbins, Tony's son. And these are just a number of people. And some of the biggest marketers in the world have actually come and shared the stage. And these are the people I get to trade minds with, if you like, on a regular basis. Also, one guy who I think came to me about 8 different seminars, a guy called Ron White. And he was the 2 times American memory champion. He once held the record for the fastest time memorizing a deck of cards. But the funny thing is how that was applicable in business, and the importance of remembering people's names and the information that these guys shared. And as I said, these are the people I've been blessed over the years to be able to trade minds with. Even going way back 30 years ago, I was doing business with Jim Rohn and with Stephen Covey. And the list goes on and on and on. And probably some people I've even forgotten, right? Since that level of time. But these are the guys, as I said to you, I trade minds with. And I think this is very important for people to understand, because it's whoever you trade minds with really will determine your outcomes and how you think and how you behave and what you do and the actions you decide to take. So for me, trading minds with these people has been incredible. And if even Scott, when we met at that seminar in Glasgow, to be able to sit there and trade minds with people who were up there on stage, and that includes you, where you're out there and you're working hard to better yourself, but not only that, to better the people that you deal with, to better the people in your team, to share the knowledge that you've learned, warts and all, we say, right?
Yeah.
But we trade minds with people who think that way.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned Ron, the world memory champion, and it's the things we tell ourselves and the self-limiting beliefs. Because I've got a bad short-term memory. I'm dyslexic. I'm all the isms. I've got neurodiversity, and I'm really bad at memory. So I don't remember people's names, and that's just who I am, because hey, I've got dyslexia. But actually, after 20 minutes in a room with Ron, he gave us some techniques. And he went into a room and there was 50 people who he met in the way in. Oh, hi, how are you, Scott? And that was it. And then he remembered everybody's names, which was a wow. But in that, we are learning, and that changed. It changed a big part of my identity then, to think I am somebody that can't remember people's names. I just needed a little bit of help. And Ron taught us a technique that I use forever, and I used it in principle when we went to your mindset retreats, because it was the first time ever I was in a room with 20 people, and I could go around the room and name everybody's names because of Ron's techniques. So that was a mindset shift for me. The lies we tell ourselves, I can't do something, and then you surround yourself with great people and they just help you.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me. I forgot. I brought Ron to Glasgow. You met him actually, yes, as well. So he came to do a workshop with me in Glasgow. So you're right. I remember that now. But you know what? It is back to the story you tell yourselves, right? And and the lies that people tell themselves when they say, I can't, I can't, I can't. And unfortunately, the more you reinforce that, the more it becomes a belief, right? And that belief becomes stuck and it becomes solid, it becomes part of who you are. And I say to people, stop telling yourself lies, just tell yourself the truth, right? That doesn't mean that there are things you might need to improve or you might not be good at, but then tell yourself the truth. And the truth is, what am I good at? What am I capable of? What can I do?
Yep.
And you keep sharing that with yourself. Talk yourselves up, guys. This is not your ego. This is talking yourself up. This is you allowing yourself to have that level of belief in the things that you're really, really good at. That's your truth. The rest doesn't matter.
And you lead me beautifully into something there, Pat. For the eagle-eyed among you, you would see that the name of this is how to build an outstanding business in life. And the term outstanding there is deliberate, because one of your mottos and principles is about what we tell ourselves daily and what we believe and how we want other people to perceive us. So tell us a bit about your motto, your ism about being outstanding.
Well, to me, it's a choice. And I choose every day to have an outstanding day. On my signature and everything I do, and even on my signature on my email, it says, have an outstanding day. I know I will. Mm-hmm. Now, I used to put on it, unless you have other plans, right? Because the reality is, it is a choice. And I made this choice a long time ago that I am absolutely outstanding. And I choose to be. And that's not my ego at play. That's me learning to accept my reality as I choose it to be. And I choose to have outstanding days every single day. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have challenges and so forth. I recognize those too, but I just deal with them and I keep moving on. And even in the middle of that, I still choose to have an outstanding day, always.
Yep.
And I say to people, it is a choice. And it should become part of who you are. To me, it's part of my very being. I choose to surround myself with outstanding people. I choose to read outstanding literature. I choose to watch outstanding information, knowledge, anything. I choose to surround myself with people who think the way I think. And I choose to trade minds with outstanding people and outstanding thinkers. So to me, it is simply a choice. And, some people have a different word. It can be wonderful, amazing, fantastic. Whatever it is your choice. You should be all of that all of the time. Mm-hmm. And this is not the ego, or, there was a time when I thought about this, about being outstanding and even having the courage to share it. And like everybody else, I'm sure, and most people that I've met in my life, in the very early days, in the beginning, I was embarrassed to say that because of what will people think of me. And the reality is, I care less about what people think about me, to be honest. Good or bad, I accept that I'm outstanding. And so I am. I have nothing to prove. I'm not trying to prove it to anybody else, nor am I trying to prove it to myself. I feel it, I believe it, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And again, it's not an ego thing. It's just an acceptance that I can have the best of life. I can have the best of everything that I choose to have in my life. And I can be the best that I can be, which to me is outstanding.
Yeah. And you mentioned that in the early days, we have these things, these mantras, we're putting ourselves out there, and not to fake it until you make it, but be it until you see it or achieve it, and not caring about what people think. Was it Wayne Dyer that said, your opinion of me is none of my business? You can keep that to yourself.
Yeah. I don't mind either way, good or bad. Honestly, you're entitled to your wrong opinions. But to me, like people say, okay, sometimes, and I meet a lot of people over the years, I hear this word unbelievable quite a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And when I talk about unbelievable, well, I ask, well, what is unbelievable? And to me, that's a senseless word, right? But so many people use it. And I mean this, by the way, in a respectful way, right? People go, well, what an unbelievable act of courage, right? Or what an it's not unbelievable. It might be amazing, it might be superb, it might be outstanding, it might be fantastic, but it's not unbelievable.
Yep.
And when you guys, your listeners here, if you come across, right, you kind of give yourselves a little bit more credit and give other people more credit, right? Because The reality is when you do something, when you show up, you take an action, when you achieve something, you made it happen. You watched it happen. You witnessed it. You actually did it.
Yep.
So believe it, right? Believe it in you and believe that you are possible. So I say to people, make it believable. Make it believable. In other words, believable. Mm-hmm. You guys are so much more capable than you know. When you make something happen, believe it. Believe in it and give yourself more credit than you've been giving yourself because you deserve it. Mm-hmm. And give yourself the go-ahead, by the way, to be happy about it, to celebrate it, to acknowledge it, to recognize it. Remember, happiness is quite simply is an emotion or emotional response to an outcome. So make your story believable.
Yeah. You had mentioned a few times that word taking action, which leads me nicely because I have a pile of your latest book here. You can share some of the you have, but this is your latest one. And with people in your communities, when there is only plan A, it's action. So this book is all about action, and it's co-authored by some amazing people, including your wife. So I actually have lots of copies of this. I bought them. So anybody watching, guys, please share this or get somebody tagged, a young entrepreneur, somebody that may need a free business book. If you're a able-bodied, successful person, you can buy it yourself. But I have 5 copies here to give away. Pat, tell us a little bit about your latest book, A's for Action.
Well, when there's only plan A, right, which is plan action. And in that book, we have multiple stories of people who made a decision. And when you make a decision and you choose what it is you want from life, and you set about doing it. Now, I often say to people, you should never have a plan B. And and actually this was something I learned, believe it or not, from watching Arnold Schwarzenegger speak. And he talked about his story. And for Arnold, there was never a plan B. There was only plan A. He made a decision to become the greatest bodybuilder in the world. He made a decision to become a movie star. He made a decision to become a governor of California.
Yeah.
And that decision was made. But what happened on the journey to get there, that journey changed multiple times. But there was never a plan B. There was never, okay, I want to be second best. Mm-hmm. It was always going to be plan A. And we focus on plan A only. And for plan A to become your reality, you must take action towards that. Mm-hmm. And towards the thing that you want. And, it's something I recommend to people a lot. Think about what you really, really want.
Yep.
And I would say to you, I strongly suggest that 100% of the time that you speak and think only about the things that you truly desire. And then because when you do that, you will take action towards it. And really, that's what this book is about. It's individual stories about the actions that they took that got them to create successes and wins in areas that they never dreamed at one point in their life would have been possible. And certainly other people would have thought was not possible. But because they kept their eye on the goal and they stayed focused and kept taking action, even without proof, because it took that action, they have achieved what they set to achieve. And by the way, they're going to achieve a hell of a lot more, everybody in that book, because they have a very clear focus and a very clear idea of what it is they want to achieve in life, and they keep acting.
Fantastic. And I know some of these people, and they are outstanding, they are amazing, and we're all just at the start of our journey. I'm going to jump into some audience questions. So Matt Burwood is asking, we're going back to the memory techniques because they struggle with people's names. Have we got links to Ron's stuff? Does he have a YouTube thing that we could share with people, Pat, or any resources to
Absolutely. Let me tell you the name of it now, just because he has, I think if you Google Brain Athlete, you will find him. He has hundreds of videos on YouTube.
I'll put this in the show notes, guys, because wherever you see this, if you're not watching live, we'll put it on so that you can get the details. So we would definitely do that for you. Now, here's a nice question from Mark. I'll bring it up on the screen. How did you change your mindset about not caring about others and what people thought about you, and what their opinions were of you? What was the thing that changed your stopped you caring about that?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but very briefly, my son told me a story one time, and that changed my life. And we talked about facing your fears, because what I often call the most dangerous word in the dangerous words or a dangerous sentence in the English language is, what will other people think?
Yep.
And when we're concerned about what other people think, usually we're driven by fear. And we know that fear doesn't help us, it doesn't support us in any way. And if we start living our life in fear, then we're not living true to ourselves. We're living it based on what other people think we should do. Now, I hear people say to me quite a lot, get out of your comfort zone. When I think about questions like this, and this is a question I get asked quite a lot, people want to do something. They want to achieve something. And they worry about usually the people who are closest to them, okay? And what they will think and what they may say if they tell them what their dreams or their goals are. So usually what happens is somebody has a dream, a vision, a goal, they want to do something. And they share it with somebody who they believe should care. And that person may knock them back or tell them it's a silly idea or so forth. And then they start feeling like upset and wonder, well, why would these are the people I want to support me, and maybe they don't love me, and all of this kind of stuff goes on, and it impacts how people behave. Well, the reality here is, this goes back way, way further in life. The people who are telling you this have downloaded a program, and they have become conditioned to believe certain things. And those conditions become part of who they are. And in most cases, people are not consciously aware of this. Mm-hmm. So in the past, somebody has told them, we come from an area that people don't have money, they don't have businesses, just like me, by the way. And the belief was that people like us don't have this. So that belief becomes strong. People start to say that and they reinforce it. So here's what happens. So imagine somebody says, Scott decides, I want to go and build this dream. I want to build pillow partners. I want to build. And then somebody goes, don't bother, Scott. Usually it's somebody very close to you, right? Now, then what happens is people start to feel upset, and they start to think, they don't love me. They should be supporting me. Why don't they support me? And that emotional impact actually impacts how you act, how you react to what's going on in the world. And that usually stops people from doing things. Now, the real truth here, by the way, don't love you. They do. But what has happened is they have been programmed that 9 out of 10 people fail. All of these old stories that are going on in the world. So in their mind, they start thinking, oh God, here goes Scott now with another one of his bright ideas. Now, they're not even consciously, in most cases, they're not even consciously aware of this. So their natural reaction is to say, Scott, don't bother. Look, you're doing okay. So what that really means is at the back of their mind somewhere, something is saying, what if this doesn't work out? I couldn't pick up the pieces again. I couldn't be dealing with them if it doesn't work. Yeah. So their programming is advising you not to try or not to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's their programming that's running it. Or on the other side of it, somebody might say, oh, don't do it because what if you become successful and you leave me? This is not just partners, by the way. As friends do the same, or family members. What if you go off out into the world and become something better? And unconsciously they say, don't do it because they are happier and they are much more comfortable with you living in their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So most people actually go through life living in somebody else's comfort zone because they care too much about what other people say and what other people think.
Yeah.
So what I keep saying to people is it's time to step into your comfort zone, because if you're living in that space in somebody else's comfort zone, it's not very comfortable. And I know that most people I have met in life have a desire for more, right? But unfortunately, that preconditioning, that programming needs to change. So what we got to do is we have to change that program. We have to start believing in yourself and believing in your capability, and stop looking for approval, especially from the people who know you, think they know you best.
Yep.
You don't need approval. And then go out into the world and show up and do what you need to do. And I promise you, those people will become your greatest advocates. They will speak about you with pride. Because what happens is when people tell you things, what they're doing is they're really telling themselves, they're speaking from their space. They don't believe they can do it. They don't believe, they have their own reasons, their own preconditioning, which is absolutely do with you. So don't give it the energy it doesn't deserve. Right? In the book, The 7 Laws of Spiritual Success by Deepak Chopra, right? It says that the source of all creation is pure consciousness, right? Pure potentiality seeking expression from the unmanifest to the manifest. So when we realize that our true self is pure potentiality, we will align with the power that manifests everything in the universe, everything that you want. And it's all down to you. But you got to realize this. So if you focus on these laws and you focus on the law of pure potentiality, you will discover that you're operating from pure consciousness, right? And that is an area where we call it, this is the field of all possibility and creativity. This is everything that you want, but it's your choice. And once you accept and you believe in your potential, your pure consciousness, you will discover your truth. And your truth is, you deserve everything that you desire. And other people's opinions have nothing to do with it. So it's not that we have to hate on them or disrespect them. We just don't need their opinions. Find the people who are doing it. And for me, I went out into the world and I found the people who are successful, who were doing the things that I wanted to do. And they're the people I had conversations with. And they're the people that I learned from.
Yep.
So the people that say no, and actually this is a conversation I had. I was about 21 years of age, right? And this is what I learned from Robert Kiyosaki. And to tell you to the point, number one is you need a really good team. Build your team wisely. Surround yourself with the people. And I talk about your team. I'm not just talking about employees. I'm talking about everybody.
Yep.
Everybody who will encourage. Surround yourself with more of those people. And the second thing he said was, the people who keep saying no, that won't work, or telling you all the things why you can't do things in this world, take a step back from them and size them up. And ask yourself honestly, what do they have that you want? And you will probably discover that 90% of the people that keep telling you no, that you're worried about what they will think, have nothing that you want. So why would you allow them to influence your thoughts and your behaviors and your life?
Yep.
So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it leads me into something, another pathism I heard when we were in one of your mindset retreats over in Spain, about just being who you are. And it's, you use the term, I'm me anyway. So I think that's a nice kind of segue into helping people accept themselves and the things giving themselves permission to fail in advance was another amazing thing that I learned in one of the retreats. But talk a little bit more about I'm me anyway and giving yourself permission to fail in advance.
Yeah, I mean, whatever goes on in the world, whatever goes on, whether you have failures, whether you have wins, you're you anyway, right? You know, and once we understand that, you know, and you accept and believe in that, you will know that you have all the knowledge. You have absolutely all the knowledge of everything that you need to know. I mean, you realize that you will find your perfect balance, by the way, in invincibility and simplicity and happiness. This is your possibility when you realize I am anyway, and I am me anyway. But also, if I have a challenge, if I'm trying to go after something and something gets in the way, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to keep moving forward anyway. Yep. I am me anyway. I am going to show up and be the best I can be anyway. And when you really get this, you got to make this, again, to use that term, believable for you. Because when you do that, you will get to know yourself. And when you get to know yourself, you know your true self. That brings an ability to achieve any dream. Any dream. Doesn't matter how big it is. And your dreams are your dreams and not somebody else's. Your dreams are not somebody else's restrictions. People restrict themselves and they try to impose them on you based on their own experiences and based on their experiences of the past, by the way, or the old stories they've heard from somebody else. But if you be you anyway, those stories in the past, by the way, are nothing to do with you. And there's no proof. There's zero proof, by the way, from those stories of the past that will impact your outcomes if you choose to be you anyway.
Yep.
Right? Yet people take it on as proof. People tell you why not to do it, why you shouldn't do it. It's nonsense. Yet they have absolutely no proof because you haven't done it yet.
Yep.
So go and look for the proof. Be you anyway.
Yep, it's a timely conversation. We are doing something with the team about making videos and putting yourself out there. We're in the middle of a 7-day challenge with the Pillow Partners team, and for some people it's easy to jump on and make reels for Facebook and Instagram, but for some it's a little bit more challenging. And one of the things that was just about being raw and authentic, and that fits in well, just being you. Well, what if some people don't like me? What if some people don't agree with what I say? What if I stutter? And I didn't use your terminology, but I might just do it anyway. That actually you're going out and being genuine and making mistakes and stuttering, and not everybody's going to like you in social media. You're going to get 1% of people that are going to hate you and just be having a bad day and say something bad. But it can encapsulate what we're doing with the Reels Challenge over these 7 days. And we're in day 5, is just doing it anyway and being you. And you know what? If not everybody's going to like you or want to work with you, but you will find the people that resonate with you with the same core values, the same beliefs, and the people that want to work with you and like you will follow you and support you. Those that don't, they don't matter, because they're never going to be your friends or your customers.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. Are we going to care about what everybody has an opinion?
Yeah.
Right? And the reality is, you see people talk about, and I think we discussed this there recently too, is people are too concerned about their reputation. Mm-hmm. Right? And if you talk to 30 different people, you'll have 30 different reputations. Because everybody has a different opinion of you. So therefore, why should it matter? And if you're worried about your reputation, the reality is, by the way, you have no control over this. Your reputation is quite simply somebody else's opinion of you. Mm-hmm. That is here. If you step up and you be you, and you are you anyway, you will step into your character. And your character is much more important than your reputation. And I want your listeners to understand something here. This is really important. There is zero separation. There is no separation between you and all that is possible for you. There is no separation. There's no separation between you and the laws of the universe that have created so many other successful people in the areas that you want to be successful in. Mm-hmm. The same laws applies to you that applies to them. There is no separation. You are pure potentiality. Everyone. And you can experience this, by the way. You can discover who you are. You can discover your own reference point. Right? Your own reference point. You can create your own self-referral. If you allow yourself to believe in that. And allow yourself just to be the best you can be. And when you do this, life will change. Because, you see, most people, when they think of themselves, they base that on external experiences. Therefore, they become influenced by objects outside of you. Imagine that, which includes situations or circumstances and people and just things in general. But if you focus on the external references, then most people, by the way, are just seeking approval of other people.
Yep.
It's nothing to do with them. You're better than that.
You're breaking up a little there, Pat. So if I'm talking over you, it's just because the signal broke up. I want to move on to your retreats, because I'm privileged enough to get to be on these, and we've been over the last few years. You've built a nice life in a much sunnier Spain with your wife and your family, built a business there, a property empire. But tell us a bit about the retreats you run, generally twice a year, because this, what we're talking about, is just filled with 2 days of this.
Well, the retreats, I run a 2-day retreat on specifically on mindset, on personal growth. And they're here, they hold them here in Spain on a beautiful hotel on the beach. But the next one is on the 17th and 18th of October. And by the way, Scott, if any of your listeners would like to join us, let them reach out to you. You can give them the information. They'll be more than welcome. But these retreats are about the attendees. It's about creating that level of self-discovery. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what journey you're on. There's always going to be more we can do. And we should always be working on ourselves and allowing ourselves to believe what is possible, and removing any obstacles and any challenges. And even in times when we live in a busy world and you have a busy life, it is so important that you take this time to recharge, recuperate, and then maybe replan and maybe dream bigger. But over these retreats, I will give some very practical information, but it prompts a lot of critical thinking with the people who are there about themselves. And I will give some practical information that, without a shadow of a doubt, will change people's lives if they take and use it.
Yeah.
And that's really the purpose of these retreats, to make that happen for more and more people, so they can actually find whatever it is that they need to find for themselves to improve their lives on an ongoing basis. Because it can always get better.
Yeah. There's Emma, who's just timely, says always come back buzzing from a retreat. So we tend to do a few days prep and stay for a few days later after the retreat. We were talking on our call, so we do my mentor or coach, and we were talking on this week's call about physical events versus online. And online events are great, but actually the world, we kind of get every single bit of information for free online. We can be bombarded any topic. You can get speakers, and people put out a lot of free, valuable content everywhere. But the value of an in-person event, Pat, we were talking about this in general. There is something special about meeting in person that you only get physically rather than being online.
Absolutely. And look, the difference here is there's energy. And you connect very differently when you meet people personally. And questions come up that wouldn't normally come up online. Relationships get built. People communicate better, and they start to feel better, especially when you surround yourself with the right people, with good people.
Yep.
And with events, it allows us to actually stop and think without distraction, right? Because I'm sure there are some people who are watching this and listening to this right now who are probably double screening, right? They're being distracted by other stuff. Whereas when you're at an in-person event, you're present, you're there, you unconsciously committed, if that makes sense. So it brings a whole different level of energy, right? And it increases the knowledge of everybody, because everybody gets to share, everybody gets to talk, everybody learns. There's nothing like an in-person event, in my opinion.
Lovely. If we go back to in-person events, and I'm thinking back just probably as I was getting older, you mentioned some of the stages you've been on, some of the people you've been speaking to, some of the greats. Anybody that does self-development and reads these books will know these names. Having been on stage in person, who's one of the best in your opinion for the actual knowledge that they're doing? But when you hear these names, I was wild when I first known you on stage. But who's get the best energy in person of all the people you've been on stage with the best message?
It's a difficult one to answer, right? Because I mean these are all friends of mine now, and I think even having a conversation with this year, or one of them recently on my podcast, and we kind of come up with who was our favorite speaker as well, right? But I think there are lots of favorites for different reasons. Like from my business perspective, Brian Tracy is always my go-to person. Has been for over 30 years, right? And I consider him a friend. I still speak with him frequently, right? So we operate as peers. So all of these guys, well, the majority of them have become friends and peers of mine, not just people I spoke on stage with anymore. So I got to know them more intimately as well and personally. So, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But I would say from my business perspective, Brian Tracy was certainly, he'll always be my go-to person. From an energy level, my God, Mark Victor Hansen, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah. Right? And actually himself and his wife, Crystal, wrote a book now called Ask. It's a fantastic book and I highly recommend it. But he left, it's almost indescribable. He spoke, and I'm going back as far as 2009. May of 2009, when he was speaking at one of my seminars. And we had a 3-day seminar with 12 speakers, 3 long days. And Mark was the last speaker on Sunday. And usually when you have 3-day seminar, you're finishing at 6 o'clock on a Sunday. People are putting on their coats at 5 to 6 to get ready to go home.
Yeah.
People stayed in his room until about 8:30. The energy he left, the energy he created with people was just phenomenal, actually. You know, so from that perspective, from then we have Sharon Lecter, right? From an advice point, what a smart woman this is, and she can really connect with people in terms of the advice that she gives is really good, solid advice. There's no fluff, there's no nonsense. She's easy to listen to, but she communicates really well. And there's many others for many different reasons, but those 3 really stand out for me.
Great. Super. Now, from all the people going back to like the early 1930s, like Napoleon Hill and all these greats, and then we had Tony Robbins and all the names that you have mentioned. Things have evolved now with online, and now everybody can jump online and give their opinion. You don't need to be a superstar on stage. What's a bit of advice you hear people giving from the self-development world, tips and advice that you think is probably nonsense compared to good old solid self-development advice? Because everybody's got a voice and everybody's got an opinion and stuff. Is there something that you would say probably is worthwhile listening to? Not in a negative way, but just with so many voices out there, is there something that you would have a different spin on?
Personally, I only listen to people who have either done it or are doing it.
Yep.
And that's the difference to me. And that's the difference between we're in the information age where information is so readily available. However, most people are not doing it because for multiple reasons. One, it's not being communicated properly, I believe. Plus, there are always going to be question around who is sharing this information. But as I said, when you get talking to somebody, especially in face-to-face, the energy is very different. Yep. I often say to people, if you don't believe in yourself, then borrow some of my belief, right? Because that's what often happens when you're talking and you're following people who are doing it. You almost feel that sense of belief that they have, and you almost take some of that energy and you make it your own. And then when you do that, you get to understand yourself, and you create that what I call self-knowledge, which is real power. And when you realize that power of self-knowledge, then you become fearless. There's an absence of fear, actually. Mm-hmm. So I find the people who have lived it, and when I can learn from them and I take from them and I resonate with them, I can feel that level of self-knowledge. It just increases and increases.
Yep.
So I will tell you, I am fearless. And that's why. I'm sure I've read thousands of books, by the way, but I will always narrow my knowledge down to a handful of people, the people who really made a difference, the people who are doing it, the people who showed me through experience. And they showed me the things what not to do too. It's what we talk about the pain. We've all gone through it. So I look for the people who are doing it. Yep. And when you have that absence of fear, so imagine that. Imagine having that level of self-knowledge that you completely have no fear. Mm-hmm. The absence of fear is gone.
Yep.
Imagine it. Then make it believable.
Cool. As somebody that has done it, as somebody that is living it, has built a dream life, many successful businesses, what's one nice implementable bit of advice you would give to somebody starting their journey? Somebody experienced that's lived it, loving it. What's one nice, simple bit of advice somebody can go in action or a belief today to move them forward?
I would say, whatever industry you're in, find the people who have already built it. If they've written books, buy their books. I would say, buy books, read books of people who have been successful, read their journey, learn from their journey, and how you can implement it into yours. Yeah. The more of this you read, you will end up what we call a positive addiction. Mm-hmm. You'll be addicted to positivity. And then let me tell you, when you are, your life changes.
Yep.
So read more books, reach out, go to events, follow the people who are doing it.
It's great advice. Over there in the library, we've got 500 business self-development books. And somebody, I frame it in this way, and I heard it from someone, I don't know who, for less than £10, you can get somebody's whole knowledge, whole life experience, everything they have to give on a topic. You can get all that and learn it in a week for 10 quid. There's not a better value thing than a book. Yes, you can read fantasy stuff and a bit of escapism, but somebody writing a book on their topic, what they've lived and built up over the years, you can learn that in a week for £10. It's the best value thing ever as a book. It was underutilised.
Well, you know my standing on that. I'm always reading. I have books here beside me, and I've read them before. I will read every day. I'm reading books, and I actually hear something funny, because my first time in your office, actually, I spotted this book. You had a copy of this book, right? Maximum Achievement. You remember that? Right. So, yep. And I'm going back over that book and picking up some nuggets in that book that I've read in the past.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. I've listened to that. I've read the book. I've got copies, but I've listened to that 3 times on audiobook. And every time I've listened, it is like listening to a brand new book, because I'm like, I've already listened to this twice, but I didn't get that at that time. I missed that. So people read books once, but actually the knowledge of reading or even audiobooks is in the second and third passes through. Now, I have 5 of these books, so talking about taking action, listening from people who have been there and done it and their journeys. 5 of these books, guys, so you guys can comment or tag someone. Like I say, if you're a successful business entrepreneur, you can buy them yourself or put the link in. But what I would love to do is give that away to somebody, a young entrepreneur ready to take some action and needs a little bit of help. Happy to post these out, and this is a big, chunky, proper book as well. As we come to the end, Pat, I want you to share a little bit about you are moving to Spain, because it's a dream for a lot of people to move away from where they are, start building a dream life, live life in their terms. And you would be like me and went to an office and tied to going to an office, the first one there, the last one out, working that 9 to 5, hours of commuting every day. But you've built a perfect life for you and your family, which is a massive dream for a lot of people. So just briefly explain your move to Spain, the inspiration for it, and the difference between your life now and living that life you used to lead.
Yeah, I mean, why Spain? I just love it. And the main reason, of course, is the sunshine, right? Because I'm Irish, right? And actually, funny enough, we have a storm here at the moment, so that's why maybe my connection might be a little bit sketchy, right? Mm-hmm. But that will pass over in about an hour or so, and the sun will shine again. And I just love being by the ocean. So I live very, very close to about 3 minutes walk to about 8 different beaches, right? So I love to spend time at the beach, and I like to spend time with my family. Mm-hmm. But in order for that to happen, I had to create a life that could afford me this, if that makes sense. And this is why I say to people, it starts with the first action. It starts with the dream. Create the dream and then make it happen. Build a business. Do the thing that most other people are afraid to do, right? Find that self-knowledge that you know you have about yourself and see what's really believable. Because let me tell you, by the way, everybody, right? Everybody is capable of doing this. And if you understand and take control of your true self, then you will be immune to criticism, right? You will be immune to it. And everything, by the way, that you want will happen because you have respect for yourself. And then when you have respect for yourself, you have respect for all people. And when you do that, it draws people to you. It draws everything to you, all the things that you want. And yes, you will have to show up and do the work now. And once you do the work now and you create that self-power, by the way, once you create it, it's permanent. Yeah. It will stay with you forever. And then you can start looking at what it is you want to make happen. I mean, this is my dream. This is what I like. It might not be for everybody else, but whatever it is that you want to do.
Yep.
But I go to the beach every day. Most evenings we go for a walk. I actually spent time down there last night because we had a big lightning storm and doing videos, right? Taking pictures and videos of lightning and thunder.
Yep.
Right. And but I get to live this life because I chose to live this life. I get to live it because I chose to show up and take action. I get to live it because I choose to be the best I can be. And then I do the thing that I need to do in order to make it happen.
Yeah.
And everybody can do this.
Yeah.
Everybody can do it. Or whatever it is that's perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
And go on.
Sorry, I'm saying you're helping Emma and I build our plan. We were in the coaching call, I think, 71 days till we go back on our anniversary to Cape Verde. So again, sunny, but I come home early. Last time I was there from honeymoon to do work in the business, and we have our plans that you're helping us with, or me with, to get our plans so that we can do similar to you. But it does, as every single day between now and going there, it isn't just sitting and listening to The Secret and manifesting a dream life. It does take action. It's going to take work. It's taken work for me in this business. And you've seen the ups and downs, the lows and the highs of how that action manifests from being there to building it up and getting that dream life back on track.
Yeah. And why is it happening for you, Scott? Is because you own your power, right? And when you own your power, you will enjoy a bond with people, and people will enjoy a bond with you. And once that happens, everything starts to change. And then what happens is, once you own your power, you will start to actualize everything that you're dreaming about, and you're doing it. Both yourself and Emma are doing it.
Yeah.
It's not because you're actualizing it. Yeah. You're doing it. Mm-hmm. And people will learn from you too, let me tell you.
Well, we're on our own journey. Definitely learnings to be had from mistakes, helping other people avoid them. That is the beauty of not going along. One of our core values in the back of the shirts is stronger together. And I think my first 10 years in business, Pat, I had my head down that entrepreneurship, martyrship syndrome. Well, I'm going to work hard. I'll be the first in, the last out. I'll do it all myself. That doesn't work, or it doesn't work as fast when there's so many people there that are experts, that have been there and done it, that can actually help you. One of the craziest things I heard when I was asking about what's nonsense is, learn from your mistakes. Perhaps, but you could actually avoid those mistakes by listening to people that have made those mistakes and can help you not make them and be millions of pounds richer.
Yeah, chances are, even from this interview today, this chat today, Scott, if people take this on board, you probably saved them 5 years of pain, right? And I can tell you, this is why I have my go-to people I always reach out to. Why? Because I want to save myself time. I don't want to go through the pain. I don't need to go through the pain.
Yeah.
I need to. So we learn from people who have done it, which saves us time. It's as simple as that. And I think something you mentioned about being a journey, right? And like when we look at the law of potentiality, right? You got to apply this by practicing it every single day, through silence, reflection, through meditation, through non-judgment. And I think what's very important for people listening here is put no conditions on your true self. Put no conditions on the things that you desire. Then you will have your power. Then you will own your power. And then you will be creative. You will have that freedom that you desire. You will discover all you need to achieve. You will have all that you desire. And it is a journey. It is a journey. And that's important that people need to understand that. It is a journey. Travel it.
Lovely. And as we finish up, I want to make the last thing about how people can. You've given us your time here freely today, and I appreciate it. I know I've got value, and I write down notes. Even I'm interviewing, I'm chatting, and I'm writing down things. I know the audience would have had value, so you've given up your time. How can people work with you, and what's your kind of ideal client for the mentoring group? For you guys watching, I always like any guest that comes on to get at least 3 customers, not just customers, but their ideal customers. So if you're getting value from this, and work with Pat, or share it with someone. So Pat, what's your ideal customer, and how can you help people?
My ideal customer is somebody who is willing to take action. It doesn't matter if you don't know how. Just if you want to build something. If you're not sure what it is, I will help you create that clarity, right? But if you want to build, you have to have a want for more. And if you have a want for more, then and you have a willingness to take action, then I can work with you. Particularly if you have a business with a dream, but are willing to take action, or are willing to invest in themselves and invest time into doing things. Not a lot of time, but actually invest in themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe it either. We'll help you do it.
Lovely. Right, so I'm hoping that this is the first of a few conversations we have, because we can never cover enough in an hour to do Pat's knowledge justice. And I get to see behind the scenes here. I go on the retreats, and we'll share some details of those. I get the coaching sessions, and I can only say it's been life-changing for me. So we've had a little snippet into that during this call, Pat. Let's do some stuff again, because it's been fantastic, and I'd love to share more. I want to thank you for your time to give this up, because you're over eating into your day to help the viewers here. Thank you to the viewers that have participated online. If you are watching back on one of the replays and you haven't watched live and you didn't get your question answered, please reach out. I'll put all the details under the YouTube, the Facebook, everywhere you see this. We'll put all the details, how you can work with Pat as well, and I'll share his links, because like I said, the last person it was on our podcast with Brian Tracy, so the next person will be at that level again, so you can follow Pat and see some of his knowledge that he's put out on his channels. So thank you very much, Pat, and until our next coaching session, I will see you soon.
Absolutely. Have an outstanding day.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.